Hi, I'm Kay Wilson and this is this week's energy download. I normally do these on Fridays, but I'm actually away this Friday. So here we are on Tuesday. If you haven't already joined up to my Facebook group, please do, because I don't always get the chance to send these downloads out to the database, but I always post them on the Facebook group. There should be a link below for you to do that. So today I would like to talk a bit to judgment, because in the energy transition that we are currently going through, and for those of you that do not know what I mean by that, just to explain, during this year, COVID was actually a physical manifestation of this. We've been going through an energetic transition. We are going from a heavier fear-based energy into a lighter, more supportive energy. And in this process, we're going through a filtering in order that we are able to sustain ourselves in this higher frequency, this lighter energy. And this filtering process is essentially all of our dark shadow aspects coming up to the surface that we are having to face and clear in order for us to sustain ourselves in the energy that we are moving into, which is why we are seeing a lot of the protests, etc., around the world, which are basically bringing into the public eye the desire for there to be really transformative and sustainable shifts in our society, in our collective energy. And what I want to talk to you today is something that I feel is quite pertinent to that, and that is judgment, because it's very easy in this environment to make judgments about the people around us. And I feel that having a perspective on judgment that might give you a more compassionate way to deal with it would really serve you. And so I would like to share my perspective on judgment with you today. So this is actually something that I cover as part of the coaching that I offer. So if you're someone that's done coaching with me, consider this a refresher. And if not, well, hopefully this will serve you. So essentially, each of us has light and dark aspects. And by that I mean each of us has qualities in our light side or character traits that we are happy to share, that we are proud of, that we deem socially acceptable, that we are comfortable with demonstrating to the world. Instagram, for example, is filled with our light sides. And when we have a character trait that we are very proud of, we are equally as happy to hang out with people who demonstrate the same character trait. To explain this, for example, if I'm very good at headstands and I see someone else doing a headstand, I am automatically drawn to them because they are demonstrating a quality that I find attractive, and I find it attractive because it's something in myself that I approve of. So I am projecting my self-approval onto them, and in that I am drawn to them, which is why we often see people who hang out in groups that all can look very similar or behave very similarly, and it's because each of them is approving of themselves as they are seeing them shown up in somebody else. Each of us is projecting our own judgment onto people around us. Equally, we all have a dark side. Now, these are the aspects of ourselves that we are not so proud of, that we do not approve of, in some cases that we really dislike about ourselves, okay? And it works the same way with our dark side in terms of judgment. So by that I mean, if I am very cautious of what I eat, if I am very strict on my diet and I do not allow myself to eat what I would consider fatty foods, if I go out and I see somebody else doing that who's potentially overweight, I am very critical of them because I'm projecting my self-judgment onto them. So if you've not already understood what I'm saying here, to be very clear, when I catch myself in judgment of another, I recognize that really it is me judging me. It's actually got nothing to do with the person in question. Let's face it, each of us is just energy showing up in these human bodies. And therefore, every body I see around me, I know is a form of energy. And I have attracted that energy into my sphere for whatever reasons I need to work through, okay? Because we're always attracting energy in. And when I am able to detach from the person and the desire to blame, attack, or judge them, and instead I'm able to view that other as a source of energy that is here to help me heal, I can see my own judgment of myself in my perspective of them. So by that, when I see something in somebody that I find challenging, for example, it was about a year ago, I went for dinner at someone's house and I didn't know them very well. They were good friends of a friend who just said, oh, do you want to have dinner? I just ended up in this situation. This happens a lot. And it was beautiful and it was really lovely. But I found one thing really challenging, and that was that the couple had what I considered to be very destructive pet names for each other. They were actually like swear words. But I mean, this was how they affectionately referred to one another. And I observed my judgment of this with real fascination, because I recognized that this was simply because I would never dream of calling my partner this name. And yet these two did it, and it worked for them because it was understood deeply in their relationship that it was a form of love. And it challenged me because my self-judgment, my inability to allow myself to talk like that to somebody else, I was projecting onto them. So I had to take ownership of my own self-judgment in order to accept and appreciate their way of being. I hope that helps you understand how this judgment perspective works, and hopefully gives you an idea that everyone around you that triggers you, and these can be people you love or people that you're friends with or people that you work with, but every single person that triggers you is actually offering you insight into your relationship with yourself. It's just about understanding how to really sit with that and actually have the courage to do so. So in my last, or the one before the last download, I talked to how Mars has moved into the house of Aries, and that we're in this quite punchy period for this 6 months, and how the inner warrior in us is really being invited to show up. And I feel like this is a really awesome little space for this to shine as well, because when we can start to genuinely look at the people around us as a source of growth and a source of healing, particularly when they rub us up the wrong way, then we are really cooking with gas. Then we are really making fundamental shifts to how we operate, because we're challenging ourselves, we're taking ownership of the stuff that would be so much easier to blame on others, okay? To judge others. But when you recognize that all that judgment and all that blame is actually all about you and you, that's when you can really start to make a difference to how you interact with yourself. It's not easy. It is challenging, but I believe that's what growing pains are all about. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're really triggered by someone, take a step back. Just create some space, because there's so much energetic momentum behind that relationship. It can be very challenging for you to start to see it in a new light. So just try to create some space around it, And say to yourself, perhaps, I wish to change my relationship with how I feel about whatever character trait it is that they display that's challenging you. Because in doing that, you're recognizing that it's actually the behavior, not them, that's the issue. And you're already taking that first step to managing and owning your own emotions and beliefs. I hope that this serves you, and I wish you a really lovely week, a very insightful week potentially, looking around at all the people that trigger you. You know when you're not triggered, just FYI. You know when you're not triggered because you just don't care. Okay? So if you're trying to convince yourself that something that's bothering you is not a trigger, you might want to look again. Okay? And as I said, if that's the case and you're not sure how to work with it, that's okay. Just pull back, because the more you're in it, the more you're putting energy towards it. And if that energy is not serving you, then it's not productive. So just creating space between you and that person will really, really help you. Sometimes it can be challenging. I was going to say, if it's your partner, that could be challenging. Maybe take a few days away, or, you know, create some kind of, go on a course or something. I don't know. But just trying to remember that it's you and you that sits at the core of everything. And as challenging as that can be, the more that you can start to look into that space, the more you're going to actually get the growth that you're looking for. And recognizing also that when you're looking for the reason, and it might be something like inauthenticity or selfishness or envy, you know, it's challenging. Those aspects of ourselves can be really challenging. Forgiving yourself, that's the first thing to start with. I accept and forgive that this is what's showing up and this is what's bothering me. But in the fact that I have awareness, I know I'm doing so well. I believe that every single day that I can see these aspects in others that feel challenging to me, the fact that I know that they represent a relationship I have with me makes me feel like I am progressing in my self-knowledge, in my self-awareness, and that I can hold myself more effectively in my life's growth. And this brings me joy. See, we need to always be aware that wherever we're at, that we're moving towards a vibration that supports ourselves. So even in recognizing aspects of ourselves that are challenging, if we can, in the observation of them, give ourselves credit, we are helping to maintain that vibrational frequency that is going to lift us into a better place, to a better feeling place. Remember, the point of all of this is to really care about how you feel, because you're a powerful creator, and caring about how you feel should be the absolute core of your life's desire. Okay, so this should give you plenty to chew on till next week. And in the meantime, as I said, if you have any questions or you'd like me to delve more deeply into anything I've talked about today, please just put a comment on the group or message or email me directly, and I'd be more than happy to do that. Blessings to you all for the rest of your week, and I hope that you have a lovely weekend. Take care. I'll see you next week.